what happens is, and it happens in every category, but especially the hunting industry, people are worried more about marketing and sales than they are actually what you're trying to accomplish, which
100%.
is growing big, healthier and bigger deer rather than attractability. Yes, you want to put something in there to attract them, but you need, the goal is to get them as much nutrition as possible. And I think that's getting left behind a lot.
The 11th Commandment is more than a name. It's a creed. Built on decades of chasing big game across the world, giant whitetails, faith, family, and a passion for passing on the hunting legacy. Every hunt and every story is designed to educate, inspire, and entertain. This is more than hunting. This is the 11th Commandment. Welcome to season 2 of the 11th Commandment. Spook season 1 was a ton of fun. We had a lot of learning, a lot of listening. And what we are so excited to take this to the next level this year with so much to come. But today, I'm excited to kick this off with Danii from Flawless Whitetail to be our first guest on the show. And just to let everybody know, like, this is not a sponsored podcast by Flawless. This is a educational podcast to really dig into her knowledge and background of the company. And Spook, I know you have some history with Danii, and you guys have worked together for a number of years on the mineral side and the food plot side. And I know you have a lot of things to share, but Danii, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have Danii on here because we do have somewhat of a long, I don't even know how many years we've known each other. And I've been working with Danii and Flawless ever since she took over the company. I don't know how many people are still with Danii that were with the original company when she got it. But, we have had she has been one of the nicest, easiest people to work with and knowledgeable people to work with that I've ever worked with in the industry. And I just had tremendous success using her seed blends, her scent products, and her mineral and protein. So she has got a complete package when it comes to products available to help make your hunting better. And anybody that knows me, and Brian, nobody knows this better than you.
Yep.
Knows that I don't use products because somebody's paying me or because somebody wants me to or whatever. I use whatever I think is going to make me have the best opportunity at killing a giant buck or raising a giant buck on my properties. And right now, I'm fully enjoying and loving the Flawless products. And Danii has never paid me a penny. Yes, yep. He's given me some products to use over the years and try out. And we have done that. This summer was so gracious to drive me down a load of protein and mineral. And every grain of the protein is gone, eaten. And so they just killed it. And I know that I'm going to address this right now because I know this is going to come up. But people say, "Oh, you're saying the buck muffin's the greatest thing in the world. Now you're talking about the protein and mineral." Well, I'll tell you what I did. I've got the buck muffin out. I've got 100 yards from it. I've got a Flawless mineral lick, and 100 yards in a triangle. I have a feeder with Danii's Flawless protein feed. And my idea has been that if you put all those together, they might not hit all three of them because they're going to be up there together and in competition. When I spread my idea was, and me and Danii talked about this when she was here, is to spread those out and get them away from each other so that they could eat on each one of those without having to worry about another deer running it off or something. It's worked great. I've got deer eating on everything. Danii, they eat the feed. She brought me a ton of feed and they eat every bit of it in 5 weeks on 3 spots. No, two, that's out of 2 feeders. And that's with them never been introduced to it before. Once you get them going on it, they eat it even faster, which I was really glad that we were able to get that in there to them in early July. And they've had this basically 5 weeks of premier antler growth going on while they've been eating it. So it's been awesome. But Dani's a great person. She's very knowledgeable. She knows what she's talking about, and she has great products. So I'm excited she's here and to hear her tell her story. And I'm going to shut up now.
Well, Danii, the floor is yours. Give us a little bit of history, kind of where it all started and your passion for whitetails to where you are today.
So essentially, I bought Flawless Whitetail. And there's a little bit of a difference is I bought a company, basically a company name. The products that Flawless had was just a scent line and a formulated mineral. They didn't reach my expectations. It wasn't the honest way about innovating a product. So I completely rebranded the company. Flawless Whitetail is a whole new company in the state of Indiana. So I don't even look at it as I bought a company. Basically, I got a Facebook and Instagram page, and I got a website that doesn't even exist anymore. So as far as the product wise, I've innovated everything myself. So
got it.
Self-testing, research, development, innovation of the products, like being very strategic when it comes to formulating some of these things. It all goes back to the passion that I have for it. So I'm just as bad as a dude when it comes to whitetails. I mean, that's one thing that I hear a lot.
Yeah, you don't have to be a man to have passion for growing big deer.
No, I'm crazy about these things.
Yeah, and Danii, give us a little bit of your background pre-Flawless of what. So, okay, I know what guys are going to say. Okay, what qualifies you to even know what you're doing when it comes to developing a product?
Well, the number one thing is self-taught. My dad he's a big time hunter, goes out to Colorado elk hunting, major whitetail waterfowl hunter.
Yeah.
But my dad never took me hunting. So I remember as a young girl, 5, 6 years old, 4 years old, like dad'd shoot a deer. Hey, he'd come home, get his milk jugs full of hot water, like to wash his hands off, and he'd grab his buddies. Everybody would pile in at the house and they'd take off and go track this deer. And I remember just being like, I want to go, I want to go. And I never went. Maybe one time I went, but every time dad would come home with a buck or a doe or whatever, he's a trophy hunter. So I'd always get a picture of him out in the front yard. So that right there, like, I've had a passion for it since I was young. I grew up around it, but nobody really taught me how to do it. So my dad shot archery competition with Burley Hall. They both shot for high country. And so my dad got me into shooting archery. So I shot archery since I was like 6 years old. I got my first bow, and I used to set my target up on this little red wagon, and I used to shoot my bow all the time. And then it led me into shooting from there on out. Like, but going out into the woods, like learning about deer and their habitat and how they move and just patterns and strategies of how to figure these things out is all by figuring it out myself with my own eyes. So when it comes to Flawless, it's not about the company making money. My ultimate goal and passion is to truly help people understand that you don't have to follow by these big name people's tactics and what they're doing on their property and in their woods. Go out there yourself. Like, you can take these tools that people are giving you and put it to your own use, but put the work in yourself. Figure out your property, figure out your herd. Every property is different, and what could work for this guy over here might not ever work for me, So trying to get people to help people learn to be independent and figure it out is my ultimate goal, but then also to educate them on the products that are in this industry.
Love it. So when you when you got the company and you looked at the product line that was there and you identified maybe some gaps, maybe not quite to the level of the standards that you wanted, what were some of the initial changes that you made to some of the products right out of the gate?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first product that I formulated was the Trophy Tine mineral. And I wanted the mineral to only have the salt content that a whitetail essentially needs. So you're talking 25 to 35% is all that a whitetail needs for a nutritional value. So when you start hitting that 80% range, that leaves a small gap for the essential nutrients that a whitetail needs to thrive. What their bodies need to help digestion, nutritional support, immune support. So you're leaving only a 20% to try to fill in, phosphorus, calcium, selenium, all those major components to what they need to thrive. Okay. So eliminating the salt was my number one target and goal when I formulated the Trophy Tine mineral. And then starting to plug in the higher phosphorus and calcium levels for the more maximum of antler growth. So that was the first formula that I came up with, was the Trophy Tine formula. That's the first change that I did to the company after rebranding everything.
Okay.
And what happens, the reason that's so important is that most companies tend to put mostly salt in their mix because it's cheaper, and they can put 80% salt and 20% of everything else and market it and market way up. And so basically you're marketing 60% of the salt is not even, or 50 or 60% of the salt is not even needed in their diet.
No.
It's just, people are just putting it in there almost like a filler, like you would put a filler in a protein feed or anything else. And so that's what's so important and so much better about her mineral is that it, like she said, instead of having, that 80% of your products in salt and 20% in all the other essential things, which salt, I'm not sure has any nutritional value in itself other than they just like it.
It does a little bit. It does help. What do I want to say?
So,
it helps carry the nutrients.
Yeah.
But it also helps support like the immune system.
Gotcha.
But it's an attractability. And that's the biggest thing is in this industry, people think that minerals have to be, everything's an attractant. It doesn't, you don't want it to be an attractant. You need it to be nutritional valued. And that's where the market is just so misleading out here is everybody's about attraction based and not digging into the essential nutrients that a whitetail needs, like for maximum antler growth, for lactation, development, diet, gut health, support. It goes so far than just an attractional based,
Danii, where did you get your scientific knowledge, which is kind of where I was trying to get out earlier, not necessarily your experience in the field and with deer itself, but more on the scientific side?
Tons and tons and tons of research.
There you go. Yeah.
I've dove into it. I started taking classes through the National Deer Association, and that has really helped a lot. But also, and I'll touch base a little bit more on this, but being involved in the whitetail ranches and stuff, we've now started up our own. So knowing their nutrition and what they need can help me innovate products to help others understand, and to be able to supply the industry with the essentials.
Yeah, because I think what happens is, and it happens in every category, but especially the hunting industry, people are worried more about marketing and sales than they are actually what you're trying to accomplish, which is growing big, healthier and bigger deer rather than attractability. Yes, you want to put something in there to attract them, but you need, the goal is to get them as much nutrition as possible. And I think that's getting left behind a lot.
Attraction is great, but overall health is even better.
Correct.
And if you don't have that, then, well, you're not going to have anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Danii, let me ask you this. So 2 questions. Mm-hmm. When do you put out mineral? Is it a year-round thing for you? And like, if somebody's not putting out your mineral or a similar type of mineral, like what difference can they expect to see? Is it like, hey, you're not going to see a difference in for maybe a few years? Or are you going to see, a difference in not just maybe the antlers, but just overall health of your deer herd in, one season based on the different types of nutrients your product's providing versus somebody who is a high salt concentrated type of product?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I'm worse than a dude when it comes to deer. I literally have every single buck watched, like, that we didn't lose from EHD. The ones that we have lost in the past, I have a year-to-year comparison, month-to-month, week-to-week, just pictures and videos of these deer. And ever since they've been on the Trophy Time Mineral. So the Trophy Time Mineral, I have a property up in Michigan that I manage, which also is the guy that helps me, which he helps me because he's seen what I did on the property and he's seen the difference in the products and he believes in them. So he's like, hey, let me lend you a hand. And, now we plant food plots together and everything. But I worked on his property I started last spring, and 400 acres, food plots and habitat development, like improvements, everything. He used to, and I'm not going to say other mineral names because that's not who I am, but he used to use another mineral. And I remember he came back, and had told me this spring that he's never seen that mineral that he used to use in 5 years do what the Trophy Time Mineral did for him in a year's time. Wow. So the herd last year, we got hit really hard with EHD. And something that I noticed in July, even the buck that I shot in Michigan last year, we called him Muley. He looked like a mule deer, so that's why his name Muley, but he was super, super skinny, looked malnourished, like just ran down dry. In July, I mean, they should be thriving at that time. Like, I mean, it's not hunting season. There's not much out here stressing them out. Could be the drought, but as far as overall body stress, there should be nothing at that time frame. And a lot of the herd looks super, super ill. And this year, like, that was last year, the first year on the Trophy Time. This year, these deer look amazing. Like, they're plump, they're full, their coats look good, nice, slick, and shiny. Like, I mean, these deer have done a complete 180 since last year. So one thing, I can share is pictures of the broken down growth from year to year, month to month of specific bucks that I can share. We'll show that. Yep. And they all have dates on them. So I have some people that have came at me sideways and said, there's no way that deer is not 2 years from then. Like, so all the dates show, there's absolutely nothing to hide here. And I actually grabbed Muley, to kind of put on here. I'm not sure if it's going to be something that can actually be seen in the video, but so this is Muley's sheds from last year.
Okay.
And I mean, and he was a 2.5-year-old. And when I shot him, obviously he's 3.5, but if you look at the growth difference here, I'll try to get it to
1 year, Danii.
This is 1 year. Yeah. Wow. So trying to get to his base, and you can see the growth of him. Like, it's just, I mean, it's insane. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Talking, yeah. But this deer, like, yeah, it's like you look at his sheds and I usually take those to trade shows also. And people are like, well, how old was he when you shot him? 3.5. And they're like, there's no way that those are 2.5-year-old antlers. And showing it on camera, like, you honestly can't see like the drastic change in them. But when you hold them and you can see a comparison side to side view, it's like this dude not only put on mass, like he's put on 2 years of growth. And that's the whole reason behind the trophy tine. You know, I want to see bone growth, but overall health is important too.
No, for sure. How are you doing this year round? Are you providing that year round, or is it during a window of time that you think is, during that growth period of time? Or Spook, I know you're big on, especially at the end of the season and year round if possible, but what is that window of time? Like that's the essential, if you're going to do it, this was when you could do it, even if it's just for financial reasons.
Yep. So the most crucial time is April, July, August, like through that time frame. We can't bait here in Indiana, so I usually put mine out March. Sometimes I'll even go February just to help kind of replenish their bodies of the nutrients that they lost through the winter and, try to give them a little bit of a jump. So after season, I'll start putting some feed and mineral out. But the most crucial time frame, end of March, beginning of April to August. Like July is where they really put on the most bone growth. And I always tell people, if you can't bait in your state, like get the minerals out a month and a half to a month before season comes in, because it really will soak in the ground. Like it's going to be you don't need to get hit for baiting or, hunting illegally. So that's what I usually tell people. If you can't bait, that's a time frame to get it out. But beginning of April till August is the most crucial time frame to put the minerals out.
Okay. Now, will they hit it? Like if you say, hey, I want it year round, will they like through the hunting season go in there and hit it, as well based on just needs?
Mm-hmm. So I'll be honest, I've heard a lot that it takes them a little bit of time to get to, but then when they start consuming it, they really consume it. But their bodies, the probiotics and the vitamins and everything that's in the mineral is going to balance their bodies out. So they're only going to consume what their body is lacking and how much it needs.
And what they need.
They're not, and that's where I go back to the attractability side. The less salt, I'm honestly blown away at how hard they hit this mineral with only being 21% salt. So it's kind of mind blowing, because salt is where you get your attraction based, and only 21%. I mean, I have deer that a 5-pound bag will last me a week or 2 weeks. They just blow through it. But that was the whole reason to incorporate and innovate the protein feed, which is the Trophy Tine Elite Protein, as it has my same mineral formula into it, packed into a protein pellet. So that way they're still.
So Brian, let me say something right quick. So I think it's important when you're putting out mineral. Sorry about that. Is to put it out in January and February and give it some time to start mixing with the soil and them getting used to it. And then by March, April, May, and when they start their horn growth, then they're going to be into it and ready to rock. And if you do a really good, efficient mineral lick with, if you're using Dani's 50-pound bags, really, you should only have to do that like each January, February for each individual lick. Just replenish it, and it's going to last you through the course. And obviously, deer are going to hit it the most in the spring, summer, while they're growing their rack, and they don't hit it as hard generally in the fall because they don't need this. They're not looking for the same amount of nutrients, which is partly where the flawless protein feed comes into effect. And of course, you would like to be able to be in a place where you could feed the protein year round. Now, most of the states, you might not can hunt over it, but you can feed it somewhere, And so I think Illinois maybe is the only place you can't feed at all. You can feed in Indiana, I think. You just can't hunt over it, right?
You just can't hunt over
it. Same in Tennessee, even though that's about to change. But that mineral needs to be put out as early as possible, right after hunting season, so it mixes with the soil and gets, they get used to it, and then they're going to tear it up in the spring and summer. and then her protein is going to work year round. Yes, I like putting it out. I think it's important to start feeding right after New Year so that when they are in the dead of the winter and they're recovering from the rut, and then they're going into the spring and horn development and milk development for the does and the fawns to be, in maximum shape at that time. If you can afford it and you can do it, yes, feed it year round. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is the protein percentage of your protein pellet, Danii?
It's 18%.
18%. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. So look, we covered, and I'm going to tell you, we're going to do a full court press down here in Florida. And I know we're going to talk about, food plot seeds. And I know you've got a Southern blend that, I'm really excited to use. We're about to start breaking some ground here. We're just so wet right now. But for Florida, I'm excited. I mean, from a mineral standpoint, does it matter, based on your experience as far as what some of these Southern deer might need versus Midwest deer or, other deer that, you've studied and looked at, or is that, look, it's going to be beneficial across the board just because they all need those specific nutrients?
Mm. So the drier states, obviously the selenium is going to be the biggest thing, but the mineral is multi-based. I mean, it's going to work all across, the region, the US. So I'm not too concerned about that. The only thing is they prefer a different scent or a different flavor. So the crush and cherry, I have found that when they get used to it, they'll hit it, but they're used to persimmon, they're used to oranges, they're used to things like that. So that's something that eventually I want to formulate the same mineral formula, but with a different flavoring. So
got it.
And it's just an aroma smell. It's not like an actual, flavoring enhancer or anything like that. So, but I want to do something for the Southern region just because of that. I have a, Spook, you remember, Ronnie Foster.
Yeah.
So Ronnie is one that we were going back and forth on the minerals because
I hope you remember I'm the one that got him turned on to you.
Yeah. Well, the cherry wasn't working so well for him. So
I know.
He's the one that had brought up the persimmon or orange flavor. So yeah.
Well, and here's we'll be your guinea pigs too.
Yeah. Here's the thing that people fail on tremendously on the introduction of any new product, any protein, anything. This is happening. It happens with protein feeds. It's happening with the buck muffin, is that people don't do a good job introducing the product to their herd. If you're just pouring it in a feeder straight and they've never seen it or smelt it before, it's going to take them longer. If let's just say you've got a 400 pound, protein feeder, if you'll mix about, 60-40 corn with protein or 50-50, and they see and recognize that corn, they will get started on it 3 times faster. And then you can phase it out to 0% corn once you get them started. The next time you go back and fill it, put, 1 bag in there, a 50 pound bag and a 400 pound feeder. And then by the next time you won't even have to do it. It's just, you just have to. And if you'll introduce it in the winter, January, February, March, when they don't have much to eat, they will get on it much faster and stay on it. So a lot of it's got to do with your introduction. I don't think it matters personally if it smells like cherry, persimmon, or orange or whatever, as long as you introduce it properly. And a lot of people think that you can get a bag of whatever it is you've got for sale and just go out there and pour it, and deer are just going to come running in. And that's just not the way it works on anything.
No.
So it takes some strategy and some thought goes into the introduction to the herd. And then it's even that way for a feeder. If they've never seen a stand-up feeder before, it's going to take them a little while to get used to it.
100%.
But if you'll do some little things, if you'll, camo it up a little better, or if you'll put it out there and put corn all around, I'm talking about as far as 20 yards out, and fill the feeder up with whatever it is you got, and then put corn 20 yards out. And when the turkeys and the crows and the birds, and a lot of people don't realize this, when they see coons, when the deer see all the other animals on it, and a crow sitting on the feeder, a turkey standing on the feeder, then they will relax so much faster than if you just set it out there and think that they're just going to start coming to it all of a sudden. So there's so many things. It's not hard. It's just think a little bit about if you were living out there and you saw this, you've got to get them comfortable with it. And the fastest way to do that most of the time is to use corn and let them get acclimated to it. And then they're fine.
Yeah. All right. So let's shift gears to the food plot side, and we may end up something coming back to the mineral side, and that's all good. It's a discussion, but let's talk about your philosophy on your food plot seeds. And I know that you've made some changes to the seed formulation, the science and everything. And I know Spook, you've had tremendous success with it over the past several years. We're excited to use it down here. So walk us through that part of the changes that you've made in innovation on the brand.
So, like I said, the company only originally had the mineral and then some scents. So the food plot, after formulating the mineral, I was like, okay, I really want to dive into my main focus and passion is whitetail nutrition. So I really wanted to dive into that and offer consumers pure, honest products. So in the market, I always have one line to tell people is the market is so misleading, and I want to educate people on what they're buying. So innovating the food plots is the idea and the mission behind it is to construct a blend of different species that work well together. So there's a lot of people that just want straight clover. Okay, well, some clover is drought tolerant and some isn't. Like some can withstand grazing pressure and some can't. So they plant a specific clover and the deer mow it down and you'll never get a fulfilled plot. So constructing every single one of the blends has been to help balance out the nutrients in the soil, adding biomass naturally. That way people get a fulfilled plot, and it's not, so all these species work together well. And that was the whole formula of starting the food plot seed is every single one of my blends is 100% pure seed. And one thing that I get a lot is, a lot of companies will add in a filler, whether most likely ryegrass, or the testing process is not carefully ran through and gone through. So you have weed seeds, you have other crop seeds, and that's something that's really important. You got people that plant a food plot of what the label indicates on the front of the package, and 20% of it comes up and the rest is grass. So I've been that person.
I've been there too. It sucks.
Absolutely.
And it's frustrating, and then every innovation of every product through Flawless Whitetail falls back to whitetail nutrition. So when you're spraying herbicides and pesticides and everything else, what is that doing to their body? What are they consuming that could potentially affect their digestive system or affect their immune support? So constructing blends of species that work well together is really important.
Okay. So what are some of the blends that you've got right now?
So, the sandy blend is, I had a lot of people that have super sandy soil, and we do too here. So the sandy blend is a perennial. Strut and grunt is also a perennial. That's your chicory, 7 different types of chicory and clover. Legacy blend is also a perennial. That's alfalfa, chicory, clover, German millet, triticale. And then Hideout is an annual screening blend of your grain sorghums, Japanese millets. Bold Madness is of 4 different types of brassicas, so late season annual. Blackout is a perennial bedding blend of RC switchgrass and big blue stem. And then the newest one that I haven't released yet, which is for you, Brian, is it's going to be called the
Brand
Cold
special.
Front Smash. Yeah. Cold Front Smash. So around here, the attractability in the winter time. So it's winter Austrian peas and winter wheat, onless, rye grains. So basically your cereal grains and Austrian peas, and then winter triticale. So that one I'm pretty excited about. We've planted it at quite a few properties, and like a week of growth, it's already at like 4 or 5 inches tall.
Wow.
So we're excited about that.
I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I mean, you've put together quite a lineup of food plot seeds. Spook, what are some of the ones that, you have utilized, and, you got obviously different states and things, and have seen, a lot of success that some of your go-tos?
Yeah. So most of Dani's stuff I've used in Illinois, Kentucky, and here in Tennessee. And last year I was really, actually 2 years ago, I was really focused on Illinois because I had those two giants, and that I was, so I went all in on those, and I had just amazing looking food plots. And the first buck, I actually just got him back, is hanging up here behind me. I just hung him up a few days ago. I got a picture of him one afternoon in the food plot, and went back the next afternoon. That was right on that harvest moon in October, and killed him the next afternoon out of a flawless plot. And in the pictures and stuff, you can see, and I need to get you some more pictures, Danii, but it was just a flawless plot. I mean, it was, taking out the brand, it was flawless. I mean, it was the most beautiful. Even the guy at the local farm service that came out and looked at it, he's like, looked like something you would see at Mississippi State University or something. It was just phenomenal. I generally really get into clover and clover blends, because clover has been what I've been using in my very first food plot I ever planted back in the 70s. And so I've always liked clover. The thing I don't like about clover in Tennessee now is we don't get the rain in July and August like we used to in September. Mm-hmm. And so we get stuck in this issue where our clover is burning up in the summer, and it's hard. We can't get it back. A lot of times we can't get it back going before, in time for hunting season. I've got a couple of plots that I irrigate that I'm able to, but it's really difficult. Danii, you remember how awesome my yard looked when you was here? I had clover like this. It's beautiful. My yard is brown now. I mean, it's just really every bit of it's died out. Well, Brian, you saw it in turkey season.
Yeah, we killed a turkey. It was gorgeous.
Could it have looked any better? I mean, you can't even hardly tell I got clover now. It's sickening. Wow. And so, so I do like clover, and I use it a lot, and I work hard to keep good clover plots out. But every single thing that I've used of Dani's has been great. I mean, I can honestly say that, Danii is not going to cut corners. That's why I like her products so much. I mean, I don't care what it is. Her goal is to max out the capability of every product, whether it's mineral, protein, seed, or her scents, which we may or may not have time to talk about. But I use the scents. I use her doe and estrus urine, buck urine. I use all those for mock scrapes, existing scrapes, drag lines, cover scent. And I've had tremendous success with it. Basically, just adding, like I said, Brian, I like to create a community atmosphere in my spot I'm hunting with mock scrapes and feed and whatever else, and that's part of me establishing that community, or those scents and those scrapes. So I've just, but yeah, the seed blends, you are not going to go wrong. I've had some other very popular seed blends, and I'm going to do like Danii. I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm talking about extremely popular that I didn't have very good success with. And, I know what I'm doing when it comes to farming and putting and planting and putting out stuff. And I know what my expectations are when I plant something, and they're realistic. I know how to gauge based off of how much rain we've had and how much fertilizer there is. I don't need somebody to tell me, you just hadn't gotten enough rain, or you don't have pH right, blah, 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 blah. I know how to do all that stuff. So that goes without saying, and that's all there. And I'm not going to complain about a seed if I planted it and it rained one time after I planted it and we didn't get any more rain for 2 months and it burned up. That's not the seed's fault.
Yep.
That's just that Mother Nature just didn't work it out for you.
You're not cooperating.
All I can say is get back in there and plant it again. I planted stuff here or in several different places as late as mid to late October and still got good plots, because until you start getting super hard frost, it's still going to grow,
Yeah. Yeah. And that also kind of, when you said about the whole rain thing, that falls back into constructing the blends with specific species that are drought tolerant and that can still fulfill and carry the nutrients and be able to grow without rain. So like the Bulb Madness, for instance, the property up in Michigan, we planted it last week and 48 hours later, we already had sprouts with no rain. So that also goes back to the blends and why I construct them the way that they do, because unfortunately we run into those drought situations, and for the plots to be able to grow and germinate and sprout, like you need plants that can thrive in those conditions. So when it comes to formulating a product, it's not like, okay, hey, I want this, this, and this. I'm going to call a local mill and say, put this together for me,
Yeah.
Like it's so much more in depth of that, and studying the species individually and what climates they work best in.
So one thing that really frustrates me, Danii, is that these local co-ops and seed, farmer supply businesses think that they can just mix up these different seed blends and that it's equal to something that you can put out. And it's not. It's just not, and people want, there's like, well, how did you kill this deer and this guy didn't kill this deer? Or what are you doing that nobody else is doing? Well, I'm not taking shortcuts. That's the thing. I'm not buying a protein feed that's got 50% filler. I'm not buying a mineral that has 80% salt. I'm not buying a seed blend that has just random, farmer grade, seed in it. And, I'm using Antler Grow. Well, you think it's a joke. Okay. Well, I'll keep killing the big deer and you keep telling me how big a joke it is. All these things work together. And when you use a quality seed blend like Flawless and you spray it with Antler Grow, you're going to have like the top of the line food source, and deer strategically in on purpose seek out the most nutritional thing that they like and that they have access to in their area. And so when you put out the best seed blend, the best mineral, the best protein, and spray it and fertilize it with the best thing that you can fertilize it with, all that stuff makes a difference, not only from health and antler growth, but also attractability. Well, as part of one more thing, part of having attractability is being the healthiest plant in the deer's area. So that's a big part of it. Go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
Well, look, we've talked about this a number of times, and that's one of the problems that we have down here in Florida, Danii. We're on the Deseret Ranch, and look, there's some good deer out here, but there's a lot of corn. There's a lot of different things that are being fed to these deer. And when we had Grant on, one of the things that he said was, and what Spook's talking about, is giving them something they're not getting. And that's exactly your point, Spook. It's not just the attraction, but it's some nutritious source that they're not getting. And, high quality seed, mineral, they're the attractive part of it, but that's the thing that we're going to be doing, and I'm really excited about, is getting some of your food plots in, getting some mineral in, doing the things that are creating this community on our piece that they're not getting anywhere else. And that, I think, is going to be a game changer. And what I suggest, people do is to evaluate just in that sense is what can you do to create something both health and attractability from a nutrition standpoint they're not getting anywhere else. And I think that will be one of the big things we'll see in the next couple of years.
I tell you another example of where I really saw that one time is years ago before I knew Danii. I was friends with the owner of Trophy Rock. And so he was sending me a box crate every year, and I was using them. And I knew they didn't have much, that much nutritional value. They was mainly for an attractant. You could get them, put it in front of the camera, get deer in front of the camera. And, then I started using a protein mineral based feed in a feeder nearby, and they completely 100% stopped eating the Trophy Rock because they were getting a better product out of the supplement and didn't need to even go to the Trophy Rock. And I thought that was pretty interesting. That was a long time. That was several years ago. Like I said, that was before I even knew Danii. But, and I believe this feed she's got now is I've used through the years several different types of feed. I've tried everything, and I've been sponsored by some other feed companies. And, I know that, I learned which ones, they were the most attracted to and which ones they ate the most and which one had the most nutritional value and figured out which ones had some fillers and which ones didn't. And that's what I like so much about Danii's protein feed. And I know I'm kind of jumping around, but in the course of the conversation, all these things work together. And if you want to maximize your ability and these are all the things that you have to put in place to do that. And you tell I'm really passionate. I actually get upset and irritated when I talk about it because I get so sick and tired of people talking about, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't kill that many big bucks, you can't grow that many blah, 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 wah, 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 But when you do all the things, maximize the availability of everything you have access to, you can. I know because I've done it. I'm doing it. So just quit complaining, quit watching football on the weekends and get out and work on your spots and it's going to make a difference.
No, listen, I love it. So Danii, I mean, if you think about it, cause I do want to get into the scents a little bit just because, that's something I've not had a lot of success with. I know Spook has had tons of success and I know people hear a lot about, there's a lot of advertising, but if we go back and you think about, again, you've got a mineral that's got some unique ingredients that other products don't have that are going to be important. You've got the protein that has a high content, doesn't have fillers, the nutritional value. And then you have a variety of food plot seeds that are going to be, accommodating for different parts of the country, dry, more wet, those types of things. So, I mean, you've got a lot covered. So from an information standpoint, if people want to learn more just about these products, is there somewhere they can go? Can they link in with you? Like, how are you sharing some of your knowledge as well besides just the products themselves?
Absolutely. So anybody can get on the website, which is just flawlesswhitetail.com. Most of the information's on each individual product, but my number's on there. So people can call me, people can email me. I mean, I'm totally open to picking up my phone if I'm available and chatting with somebody. So it's not just website based, like, the conversation's open for anybody.
Love it. No, like not a lot of companies and owners are doing that. So I commend you for that. So, all right, let's shift gears into the scent side of it. And like, what is some of the things that make, and I know, but I'm just going to ask, a just general, I'm not even going to say what store type of scent that you can pick off of the shelf versus one that is going to truly work and have that attractability that we all want that particular time of year. So what is that? And then next I'll get into the timing of which you use that. And then Spook, you're the master of like using these scents. So that's really the three things I'd love to break down for people when it comes to the scent side of the business.
So on the scent side, why Flawless is different is we refrain from mass collection. So 1 deer per bottle ratio. When you do mass collection, what happens is, for instance, when does are in estrus, their pheromone levels are different. So you have a doe that's been in cycle for a week and you got one that's been in cycle for a couple days. Their pheromone levels are going to be different. So you mix those scents and those pheromone levels into a bottle, and that's going to be a high alert to a mature buck. So that's one importance of why Flawless is different, is a lot of companies do mass collection. And that's something that's very important to not do. And then also adding in an additive or water, something like that to just help keep it. And then educating people on how to use the product is the next thing. So a lot of people think that they can open pure urine and use half of the bottle and put it in their pack and come out 2 weeks later, pull it out of their bag and think that they can use the rest. Well, over time, when air gets to real urine that's not diluted or has additives in it, what happens is the particles begin to break down and ammonia begins to take over. So in 48 hours after opening that bottle and air getting to it, the particles already start to break down and ammonia begins to take over. So when you dump out Flawless urine, it is yellow, green, like it should be. 48 hours later, you go to dump it out and it's as brown can be. So that's one thing I show and I demonstrate to people. And you would not believe the amount of people that are just mind blown by that. They have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, just think about, it's really common sense. I mean, think about if we peed in a bottle, how long is it really going to stay fresh? It's not even conceivable that it's going to last that long. And to think that you can package it and put it on a shelf for months or a year or whatever, that it's going to be fresh, and it's not even conceivable. And so being able to get the freshest scent possible is huge.
All right. So you get it. Then, so just I want to make sure people are really clear on this. They say they buy a bottle of Flawless scent. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's late October and all the way through from October through the month of November. So are they using the whole bottle at that time? Like what is the strategy and the way that somebody should use, that scent? And let's just stick with doe estrus right now and not a buck scrape type of scent. Mm-hmm. Is it all at once? How should they, store it if it can be stored for a few days, or, just what can we do a better job of?
Yep. So I recommend people to, as soon as you receive the bottle, everything is refrigerated here. So as soon as they receive it, don't freeze it. Just put it in the fridge. I have tested quite a few bottles and just left them sealed after the bottling process, left them sealed tight and left them at room temperature. And 2-3 weeks later, month later, I've opened the bottle and it's still green and yellow like it should be. So the idea is, these bottles have to be filled all the way to the tip top. I smell like you don't even want to know, like after bottling urine for weeks. But that's what you have to do, is the air is what makes the difference. Yep. And that is what affects the urine. And it all comes down to the market is misleading. Like I said before, these people think that this is going to work. This is going to work because of the marketing that is there in this industry. So, but as far as the estrus goes, any pure urine like estrus, as soon as you open that bottle, I usually recommend people break it up into a couple mock scrapes. 1 deer can pee up to 32 ounces at a time. So a 4-ounce bottle is nothing. So, and people think, well, that's a whole lot of money you're just throwing away. Well, when you pattern these bucks and these deer, it doesn't take that much. Like, you have to get them on a pattern, generate your mock scrapes, or even start hitting active scrapes. It's not going to take that much time if you put the work into it and figure it out. So, but yeah, as soon as the bottle's open, it needs to be used within 48 hours.
Got it. Okay.
It's funny. nobody minds going to Starbucks and spending $5 or $10 every morning on coffee and spending all this money on hunting or whatever it is that you like to do, or Coca-Colas or whatever, but they get all tore up if they spend, whatever it is on a bottle of deer urine and have to pour it all out in 1 or 2 scrapes. I mean, are you serious? If you're serious about it, get you 10 bottles and get on us. This is an idea. You got to remember, I'm the one that came up with this, Danii. You got to get, I'm just being funny, but, I mean, truthfully, you should get on a subscription for, deer urine so that you get it periodically.
And that's pretty smart.
I'm serious. It should be just like my vitamin subscription that I get every month or every 3 months. It should be the same way with deer urine. Mm-hmm. You should get the urine at a timely manner at a certain date according to what region you're in, and just be on a automatic mailing list. And here's what so-and-so, he lives in Illinois, so he's going to get this in the beginning of the season. He's going to get 5 bottles of this week, and and so that he has an and you could get I think it'd be awesome, because mm-hmm. that's how much you need to. It actually takes a lot to be technically to be, to use it the right way. And
mm-hmm.
yeah, so yes, I'm a little bit spoiled by myself. Well, yeah, everybody gives you see it. Well, okay, yeah, I'm a little bit spoiled. I do use it, but whether I have to buy it or whether somebody's giving it to me, if you're going to use it serious and you expect real results out of it, then you can't be afraid mm-hmm. to use. If you're trying to kill a Boone and Crockett or a 5, 6, 7, 8 year old deer, and you're worried about spending 10 or 15 or $20 on a bottle of urine every 3 days, then you're not that serious. And mm-hmm. a lot of guys are taking their week's vacation in November or whatever. Okay, well then get you 2 or 3 bottles to use on that week when you're on vacation or you're going on a hunt, a booked hunt, or you're going to Canada or Illinois or Iowa or Kansas or whatever on a hunt. Get you 3 or 4 bottles of Flawless estrus urine or buck urine, put in your scrapes also. And you're already spending that however many thousands of dollars you're spending taking off work and doing all the things you're doing. It's worth it to, if you just think you're going to buy 1 bottle and go out there and put it out and a 190 is going to come in with his hair on fire, you're crazy. Yes, it could happen on a rare occasion, but it's not likely. So you're going to get out of it what you put into it, just like all the rest of the stuff, just like the mineral and the protein and the seeds. It's the same way with the scent. So you can, that's just the way it is.
And there's another alternative too for the people that think that that's not ideal for them is I have a full synthetic line.
True.
And then the time release beads is the next thing. So time release beads is pure urine solidified in a bead form of 2 deer in 1 bottle without actually mixing the scent. So like girls' night out is 2 does and estrus. So that's a good patterning tool that I tell people.
That's a very provocative setup right there.
Love it.
Hey, it works.
Love it.
Well, I've used it. She's got these little bags that you can tie up like on a limb and, it releases it. It's a time release thing. So it's awesome.
Yeah. I've gotten this question before, and so I'm just going to ask you, and it's, are there differences of, let's say where got your deer farm and you have a Midwest deer and you have a doe and estrus up there and her pheromones, are there going to be a different attractability based on a deer from the Midwest versus a doe that's in heat and the southern states? Is a buck going to recognize that same pheromone doe and estrus scent regionally, or is there not enough difference that it's going to really impact using that scent in the South versus using it in the Midwest or other states where those deer are getting it, or you're getting it from those deer?
Yeah. So theoretically, I can't say that, because I don't know for sure. Now, coming back from customers and clients, I've never had any feedback of saying,
that's
hey,
a really good question. I've never thought about
there's
it that way.
There's nothing going on. But one of the major things that affects the pheromones in the pea is the deer's diet. So if their diet is as close to wildlife as possible, like the collection deer, that's what's important. So if you got pen raised deer in small half-acre, quarter-acre pens, or even smaller than that, and all there's in there is grass, like, no, I would never even supply that to somebody. So their diet is what affects the smell of their urine. So having that as close to wildlife and natural as possible is very, very important.
That's a great point.
Okay, so that's a great point. Mm-hmm. So the deer that you're collecting the urine from are more focused on a wildlife type of nutrition and diet versus a
100%.
small pen raised deer.
Yep. That's a big deal. I never heard that.
It is
brought out that way, and I thought I knew everything. So,
look, hey,
here I am learning something from a girl. Really? From a girl?
I mean, come on.
Yeah, we won't even go on that subject. I'm just a woman.
No, that's really awesome. I think that I've never thought about it, but yeah, we know that. We should know that ourselves just from when what we eat. I mean, we can tell the difference in our body odor and different things when we are eating, get on, especially Brian, you and I get on a protein kick where you can eat sardines for a month and in 30 days, you're going to start smelling like a sardine. So
100%.
That makes sense. I never thought about it that much.
That's why you got to be off of those when I'm filming you in Kansas, right? On that big buck.
I got to skip the chili.
You better skip that chili, boy. Look, Danii, so look, some great points there. And I would imagine through the website, is that where they can order is that the best way for people to order the scents as well?
Yep. 100%.
Hey, look, I think Spook did give you a great idea for next year on the subscription. I actually love that idea.
I think I'm going to look into that.
Well, look, anything else, Danii, that you want to cover before we wrap this up? And we're already over an hour, which has been a great discussion, that you just want to make sure that people know about Flawless. And look, we're going to have many conversations with you. We're just scratching the surface as far as, Flawless and the brand and the products. And again, you've got more stuff coming, but anything else that you want to cover off on today?
I don't think so. Just out here to help people. It's not about the company making money. It's about helping people. Sales will come down the road, like, blessing of the good Lord up above. Like, it's not about being, I don't want to be well known into the industry. I don't need to have a big name, but I want to make a difference and I want to grow a legacy, and just truly help people and offer pure, honest products, that the industry is lacking right now.
Love it.
Yeah, I can, I'm a testimony. I've been using her stuff for several years. And I've been talking to Danii for several years, ever since she bought the company. I was actually using Flawless before Danii bought the company. So I've been associated with the company for a long time, and it has definitely gotten much better since she's put her heart and soul into it. She's very knowledgeable. The fact that she's a female in a man's world means absolutely nothing here. She works. It's just, if nothing else, it's motivated Danii to work that much harder to prove herself.
No, it does.
I know it does. We've talked about it. And, there again, I'm not too proud to say that, I've learned some things from Danii and I really appreciate it. And it just goes into that memory bank of, what can I do every year to make my stuff better. And I'm choosing to use Flawless, and I'm proud of it. And I can promise you're going to get a quality product. And if you're not getting the results that you think you should get, then I think you need to look at what your application process is, because most of the time the user is the one doing something wrong. And I've everything I've used has been great, and is everything she said it was and more. And so, whether you like Spook Spann or not, or the things I do and how I do them, I think you should, pay attention to, because everybody knows my passion and love and how hard I work. And I'm not going to waste my time on any of this if it's not very effective. It just makes no sense.
It's all about results.
Exactly.
I mean, let's
life
boil
is
it
too
down
short.
to it. We're putting our time, money, and effort.
I'm not going to throw away one season just to appease somebody or try something out. That season, every season is important to me. I'm chasing a giant every season. So I'm going to do everything I can every season to make sure I'm maximizing my opportunity. And I choose to use Flawless.
Love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, Danii, it's been an absolute pleasure. More to come, and we'll give everybody some information on the podcast. And the cool thing is we're going to have some footage in here to be able to showcase some of the things that we talked about today. But Danii, wish you tons of success. Love what you're doing, and we will have you back. And it was a pleasure today.
Thank you.